Okay, so hello everyone. The topic of discussion today is the fractional CO2. The lasers which are based, or the fractional lasers which are used nowadays for a lot of indications. For example, for the resurfacing of the skin, for tightening of the skin, for the treatment of the acne scars, and so on. So this is a very favorite topic nowadays for the examiners also, because nowadays a lot of dermatologists, they are exclusively practicing the cosmetology part or the laser parts. So in this class, we'll discuss basics about the lasers, as well as we'll discuss what is the mechanism of the laser hair removal, okay, or what is the mechanism of the lasers which work on the principle of fractional. Now, first of all, what is laser? The term laser was coined by Gordon Gould on November 13th, 1957. The full form of laser is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Now, there are three fundamental fundaments on which the laser light is based on. The first is, and this everybody of us should know, because it is very important for us whenever we decide the wavelength and its indication. The first fundamental rule is, if we choose a wavelength, if we choose a light of a longer wavelength, it penetrates deeper. So for example, if you use Nd:YAG 1064 and if we compare it with a diode 802 or 808, so because the diode has a lesser wavelength, it will penetrate less in your skin compared to the Nd:YAG, which has a more wavelength, which will go little more deeper in your skin. Now I'll tell you what is the importance of this particular feature, that the wavelength and the depth of penetration. Second is, larger the spot size. If the spot size is larger, the penetration is deeper. And please remember, the smaller the spot size has lesser pain. Obviously simple, it's very simple. If there is more deeper penetration, it will stimulate the nerves more and can cause more pain. So these are the fundamental rules of lasers. Now, what is the lasers based on? Please remember, it is based on a principle which is known as selective photothermolysis. Now, what do you mean by this? This is a science of employing the laser light of a specific wavelength and sufficient fluence with pulse duration, it is a science based on employing the laser light of specific wavelength and sufficient fluence with a pulse duration shorter than a cooling time. I'm very sorry for this. It is a cooling time. Just give me a second. Now, what does it mean? Now, please remember, students, that whenever there is a light which passes in our skin, for example, there are some particular chromophores which are specific to that light. For example, it can be water, it can be the melanin, and a particular wavelength is directed against those chromophores. When you put that wavelength, that when you put that laser, they go and stimulate that particular chromophore, and the heat or the amount of heat in that chromophore increases. Now, the next thing is, you stop that light or that wave or that rays which are ending, the tissue will start cooling down. Now, if you hit another laser light before the tissue gets cooled down, this will cause a very, very specific thermal effect on that particular chromophore. So, for example, in our body, every component has a different cooling time. So, for example, if our target is melanin and it has a specific cooling time, while compared to the other areas or other part of the skin which has a different cooling time. So if you give a laser in such a way that only that melanin is getting affected, we are not able to allow that particular melanin or chromophore, we are not allowing it to cool, so only that particular specific chromophore will be affected, and this is known as selective photothermolysis. It has a minimal undesired effect on the surrounding tissue. So that is the principle of the laser light. So for example, for laser hair removal, we target actually the hair follicle or the pigment melanin. Now we choose a little higher wavelength because we know that higher wavelength will go deeper. You have melanin in your epidermis also, but we don't want that epidermal melanin to be taken care of. We want something in the hair follicle which is present in the dermis. So we choose a longer wavelength which enters at the level of dermis. Similarly, for example, in vascular lasers, PDL, we use hemoglobin as a chromophore. It goes and it targets the hemoglobin. For the pigmented lasers, we have a shorter wavelength which are only directing against the melanin in the epidermis. So like that, all our lasers are working. Now please remember, as such, there are two types of lasers. One is known as ablative laser. An injury or ablation to the epidermis and a part of the dermis with resultant collagen deposition as a part of healing. So ablative lesion means it is ablating or it is damaging whatever comings in its way. Now there are two types of ablative lasers. One is CO2 laser, which is 10600 nanometers, and the second is the erbium YAG laser, which is 2940. How it improves, for example, for the if we have any problem in our epidermis, for example, I'm just giving you an example. If you have a DPN or if you have a viral wart and you just want that to be removed, so we will use an ablative laser. Another example is the skin tags. Now second is non-ablative laser. Non-ablative laser, it works at the level of dermis. So whenever we need to stimulate the collagens, for example in acne scar techniques or in anti-aging techniques, we have to stimulate or we have to induce the collagen remodeling in the level of dermis, then we use non-ablative. Please remember, in non-ablative, the epidermis is completely normal. So clinically, visibly, the patient will not present with any of the features. We have two types. One is infrared laser and another is visible light, which includes IPL and so on. Now starting with the fractional lasers, which is the topic for today. Now in the modern era of precision laser surgery, which started in 1983, I told you it is based on the principle of selective photothermolysis, and this was given by Anderson and Parrish. Selective target light absorbing molecule, which is known as chromophore, in the skin by using specific wavelength of the pulsed radiation. Now the concept of fractional photothermolysis was given by Horeza et al. In 2003. In contrary to conventional laser technology, which targets the entire skin. So in fractional CO2, we are not targeting the entire skin. We are only targeting a fraction of skin, and that is why we are giving it a name, fractional CO2. We only target 10 to 30% of the treated area. Now what you do, you create small three-dimensional zone of thermal damage, which is known as microscopic thermal zone, MTZ. Surrounding the uninvolved, see, now only 10 to 30% of the skin is affected, and you are creating some small tunnels. The skin which is surrounding is absolutely normal, and this will stimulate the fast healing or repair of that MTZ or the damaged skin. Upon healing, the improvement occurs in the tone, texture of the skin, lines, wrinkles, the pigment including melasma and scar. For all the fractional lasers, the chromophore is water. So that's what I told you. So this is the laser beam. We have a beam splitter which split the beam into multiple fraction, and you can see that the laser light is now it is now splitted in different beams, and these are now going inside your skin. So it is not causing the damage to the whole exposed area. Only 10 to 30% of the area is getting affected. So fractional laser beam creates the equidistant microthermal zones. MTZ, the width is less than 400 micrometer and the depth is up to 1300 micrometer. The average density of MTZ is 1000 to 3000 per centimeter square. Please remember, both width and depth of MTZ increases proportional to the energy. If you use more energy, obviously the width will increase and the depth will increase. So depending upon the indication, if you have deep scars, you have to increase the energy. If you have superficial scars, the energy should be kept low. To achieve the desired coverage, density should be lower for the higher energy treatments. What does it mean? If you are giving 10 mg of energy, so 200 MTZ per centimeter square are created. So we have a 20 mg. So this is for 10 mg. We have 200 that tunnels are created per centimeter square. And if we are giving the energy which is 20 mg, we are just creating 1000 MTZ per centimeter square. So in both these areas, only 20% of the area is covered. So if you're giving more energy, then the desired area is less. Now advantage is, what is the advantage of using fractional against the traditional rejuvenative laser? Please remember, there is less patient downtime and there is fewer side effects. Fractional technology based on the wavelength's affinity to the water. So I told you that there are two types of fractional CO2. One is ablative, another is non-ablative. The ablative fractional CO2, they absorb high amount of water, while non-ablative, they are mid-infrared spectrum, which are in the mid-infrared spectrum. They very rarely, they absorb very mild amount of water. Now first we'll discuss the ablative type of fractional CO2. The ablative beam vaporizes both the epidermis and dermis. If you remember, I told you that in ablative lasers, epidermis is equally affected. The dermis is affected a little less. they create an ablative micro columns. You can see that these are the columns which are created, which has the whole thickness damage in the epidermis and the dermis. Now, thin layer of eschar lines the cavity. There is annular coagulative zones which are denatured collagens due to the residual thermal damage. So here you have some, the coagulation zones which are created. The depth of these collagen degeneration zones determine the amount of immediate and long-term contractions and new collagen deposition. Higher the absorption coefficient, lower is the depth. Final result is, you will see the final result in 6 months of complete collagen production or remodeling. Now look at this particular picture. If you see this picture, this was the scar on the skin. Now you have created a tunnel with the help of the ablative fractional CO2. You can see the epidermis and the dermis both are affected. Now this is the untreated zone, and from here the healing will start, and you will see that the new collagen has pushed the adjacent skin, and now there is a complete rejuvenation of the involved skin. So that is how the fractional CO2 work, which is given specially for the these are given specifically for the acne scars, the deep type of acne scars. So immediately you will develop a little bit of skin tightening, and that is how your skin appears as you do the fractional ablative laser. The predicted depth achieved with ablative fractional CO2 is around 600 to 1500 micrometer. Depending on the depth of ablation, the microablative lasers, the microablative, that is the smaller one, is less than 750 micrometer, and the deep dermal ablative lasers are more than 750 micrometers. Treatment sessions is usually 1 to 2, and there's an average improvement in between 40 to 50%. You can see the improvement. Let me zoom this picture. You can see the improvement very clearly here. So this was a patient baseline, and after just giving 1 to 2 sessions, there was a very good improvement in this. After giving the 5 treatments, there was a significant improvement in the patient's skin. What are the indications we can give it for photo aging? Patients who comes with retinitis, dyspigmentation, some telangiectasias, elastosis, or actinic keratosis, for acne scars, surgical scars, trauma scars, or for deep wrinkles. What are the adverse effect of the ablative fractional CO2? There is immediate pain and swelling. Sometimes some patients develop acneiform eruptions, infections. If already a patient is a known case of herpes simplex infection, there can be a recurrence. You can have hyperpigmentation if a proper sun protection is not kept. Patient can develop prolonged erythema. There is contact dermatitis, scarring and hyperpigmentation, although rare, but can be seen. Non-ablative lasers, the wavelength usually used are 1300 to 1600 nanometers. Here the target is dermis. So as I told you, in ablative, the epidermis and dermis are equally affected. In fact, the damage is more at the level of epidermis. But in non-ablative, it is mainly the dermis which is affected. The epidermis remains normal, and that is why post-treatment, the post-treatment effect or the appearance in a patient of non-ablative laser is much better. First and a most studied fractional laser device was 1550 nanometer non-ablative erbium dropped fiber laser. Histologically, columns of coagulation of epidermis and dermis within the MTZ. So in the ablative, we have both epidermis and dermis which are present in that MTZ. There is disruption of the dermoepidermal junction, epidermal clefting, but the very important point here is you have intact stratum corneum. The necrotic or coagulosed tissue, they are present in the microscopic epidermal necrotic debris. They are present as MEND, which are the epidermal debris. Let me show you that. So it's a very nicely explained diagram. So this is the first. Whenever we do fractional CO2, we have multiple exposures. So one exposure is here. You can see the epidermis is intact, stratum corneum is intact. The main damage is occurring at the level of dermis. Now after some time you will observe that epidermal coagulation has gone. It has, the MENDs have just came out. In the second sitting, now we are just radiating the areas which are present between, the normal areas which are present in between, and you can see that these coagulation are also going. So there's a very good amount of healing which is observed after 4 to 6 treatment which are spaced at a weekly interval. Clinically, scaling or bronzing of skin occurs after 1 week. You will see desquamation of MENDs. Epidermal and dermal pigmentation can be treated without specifically targeting melanin as the chromophore. MEND shunt induced transport mechanism provide therapeutic options also. So sometimes after creating these tunnels, we put some topical creams, and it is said that these tunnels, they increase the absorption of these topical drugs. So that can also be used as a therapeutic modality. The keratinocyte migrate within the necrotic tissue within 24 hours. There is a replacement of empty Z with new collagen over a period of 3 to 6 months, and most of the patients require 3 to 6 treatment at a 4-week interval. What is the adverse effect? Yes, you can develop erythema, edema, but it is very short-lived. It resolves within 24 hours. Other adverse event is, usually it is negligent compared to the ablative lasers, except for some potential post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which also occurs specifically in the darker skin individual because they have more sensitive melanin. Scars are not yet reported, so we have not seen individuals with scarring yet. So you can see fine lines over here, and after doing the fractional CO2 or a fractional non-ablative laser, which is erbium here in this patient, erbium drop laser, it is a great improvement on these fine lines. What is the indication? Where can we use the non-ablative fractional CO2? For photorejuvenation, pigmented lesions like melasma, then dyschromias, lentigens. Currently, the fractional laser, please remember that the photorejuvenation is the only FDA approved laser therapeutic modality for the melasma, that is the fractional laser CO2. Striae distensae, periorbital or perioral wrinkles, mild or poor results seen in acne scars and deep wrinkles. Now we are just comparing the ablative and the non-ablative lasers. The ablative lasers are CO2 lasers, which is 10600 nanometer. Erbium YAG, which is the erbium yttrium aluminium garnet 6940, and YSGG, which is the yttrium scandium gallium garnet 2790 nanometers. Non-ablative, I told you, it is infrared or visible. The mid-infrared lasers are erbium dropped fiber laser, which is 1550, erbium dropped phosphate glass, which is 1540, diode laser is at 1450, and Nd:YAG at 1320 nanometer with pulse duration of 200 microseconds.